DJ Moore talks about the expectation to score points under Ben Johnson's offense and what that means. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Plus, we're going to talk about Bleacher Report throwing more doubt around the Chicago Bears and injury updates out the wazoo for the Chicago Bears. We're going to talk about all that, plus dive into the mailbag right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Terrell Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. So the Chicago Bears had their final practice yesterday before the preseason game on Friday, so there will not be any training camp video today. The Bears are traveling to get ready to take on the Kansas City Chiefs on Friday, so make sure you guys stay in tune with us for that. We will be live on the channel. C-Dub will be there with the live call for that. But with that said, the Bears had that final practice. They made it through for the most part unscathed. There were some injuries that popped up in it. We'll talk a little bit about that. But one of the things that a lot has been asked about is how explosive this offense can really be under Ben Johnson. We know that we saw the flashes of it against the Buffalo Bills. It was against a lot of the second stringers there. So people still have questions on just how much of that is going to carry over when it came down to it. On the Up and Adams show, Rome Odunze and DJ Moore were there, and they were asked about the preseason game and a number of things. And when it said to it, DJ Moore said this. He came in and said 38 points was good, and the fans booed us. And he said, duly noted. So waiting to see what that means. I'm glad that he was kind of happy that we won, but you never really know what he's thinking. I don't know if we put up enough points when we were out there. And listen, the fact the boos from fans, Bears fans are just weird. They're weird individuals. I talked about that yesterday. And, with one thing is that when you have this much talent on the offensive side of the ball, it's naturally going to come with crazy expectations from Bears fans. That just is the reality of it. You're going to get crazy expectations because Bears fans, we aren't rational people. Most fans of teams aren't really rational people, but we're not rational people, right? We even got some things that of people saying in the comments recently, oh my God, Luther Burden's he's gonna pass up Rome Odunze. Yeah. And I'll knock on Luther Burden or anyone else, but you think that the player that they just drafted in the top 10 that they're going to pass up and not be on the depth chart, the guy that we heard has had the best chemistry with Caleb, was sometimes, you know what it is? I'm realizing that there are a lot of sports fans in general, not just Bears fans, but sports fans in general that lack critical thinking, right? They take everything at surface level because they don't really understand the ins and outs, right? Ben Johnson, if the chemistry between Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams is anywhere close to how much they've been talking about, why would you expose that and give teams an opportunity to game plan for that in the preseason? Right. And everybody, and you know what it is? There's so many simple-minded and normal, right? Most people are simple-minded. Bears fans, they think that everybody else is, it's like when you have a conversation with generally stupid people, they assume that everybody is at that same level of stupidity as them. They don't realize it's really stupidity, so they think that everybody's at that same level. So thus, that's when you get a lot of stupid people that end up thinking that they're the smartest person in the room. And that's what it comes down to with some fans of sports teams, right? And, it's the same thing for when we drafted Colston Loveland. Everybody's like, oh, my God, we're going to trade Cole Kmet right away. Can we get an opportunity to use a 12-man personnel? Can we do that before we start talking about taking away talent? It's just those levels. I told y'all yesterday, I'm no longer being nice to motherfuckers. I've reached my wits end with that, right? But, the expectation that a lot of people have with this Bears team, and, it's again, I say it honestly, in earnest, that some of that comes with the territory. When you have talent, when you have excitement over your team, some of that is going to come with unreasonable expectations and unreasonable, statements and things. So, that happens. But to hear that Ben Johnson took the boos that came after from Bears fans after scoring 38 points and said, all right, bet, duly noted. I love the mindset that we're hearing from Ben Johnson. I love that. Because it's a different level of expectation and a different level. Like Ben Johnson has some of that petty in him. And as somebody who is a very petty person himself, I love hearing that. I love having a coach that not only because of the standard that he wants to set for the team, it takes criticism and things like that. It's like, all right, bet. Say less. That's basically what Ben Johnson said. Is say less on phone them. That's basically what Ben Johnson has said to get it in the Chicago lingo. And so, all right, bet. Right, bet. Okay, bro. All right, we got you. Right. And that thing though but I think Ben Johnson and the offense has to realize as well. Everybody's watching now. Right. You came out there and then you got everybody excited to a degree. Right. The national media conversation has been a lot different since Sunday. And with that comes a different level of scrutiny. And for once, I feel the Bears have a coach that's going to take that level of scrutiny and is going to be like, all right, bet, let's go out here and let's perform. Right? It's not going to be this thing like Matt Eberflus took scrutiny like an idiot. And, that's what he was. And so, Ben Johnson is more, I think, of that Lovie Smith mode where it's like, okay, cool, bet. And in that type of way, internalizing that and turning that into a more like, all right, let's go. It doesn't always mean that the success is going to come. I want to be clear that doesn't mean that on the ground level you're going to be more successful than not, but it does mean the mentality is right there. And I think that's an important thing for the Bears standout right now. You have to have the right mentality about stuff. And Ben Johnson, Dennis Allen, this coaching staff, they have the right mentality. Now you got to go out there and get it, right? And so we'll see. But, to say that that's not enough, 38 points, we'll see what the Bears offense can do. This is one of the most talented on paper offenses that the Bears have maybe had ever, to just be 100% honest with you. And you have an offensive line that's in a much better place than what it was last year. Some stuff that we're hearing around the left tackle is a little bit questionable, but, we're in a much better place there. Now, how do you bring that all together? How much of a slow start is the offense going to get out to? How long is it going to take for everything to start clicking and firing on all cylinders? And that's going to be a thing that we watch out for and we look out for. And so we'll see what happens in the season with that. Now, one of the things that came out of course, yesterday, one of the biggest things was definitely about the Tyson Bagent getting a contract extension. And Ben Johnson talked about that as well. He said this: I've really been blown away by his approach from the spring to the start of the camp to where we are now. He does a tremendous job knowing what to do, how to do it, and getting it done. As a quarterback, especially a backup quarterback in this league, that's about as glowing as a review as you can get from your head coach. Tyson Bagent has appeared in only 5 games. 5, right? And that was 4 starts over the course of Justin Fields, where he went 2-2, and he came in another game. And he's an undrafted free agent. Like, Tyson Bagent hasn't played in a regular season game in well over a year because Caleb Williams didn't miss a regular season game. And when the Bears, it'd be very easy for any team to take the backup quarterback position and not try to pay money for it, because it is, hopefully you're betting on your starter. But the Bears liken in Tyson Bagent to a $10 million contract with another $6 million in incentives really does speak to how they view Tyson Bagent here and what he brings. And keep in mind, your backup quarterback is also the guy that's in the ear of your quarterback during games. And so that relationship that Tyson Bagent and Caleb Williams has, I'm sure, played a part into him getting this deal as well. And of course, listen, you want a solid backup quarterback in there in case anything does happen. Injuries are a dime a dozen in the NFL. You run into injuries all the time. We're going to talk about Bears injuries coming up here next. So, the Bears solidifying that backup quarterback role is big. And, he was in a position battle with Case Keenum, and he's come out on top of that. Of course, Case Keenum got hurt, as have some other quarterbacks. And, Tyson Bagent, again, is the guy that's standing there, and he's the guy that's going to be ready to go. And, if he does need to get called into games, one thing's for certain, kind of the floor of Tyson Bagent, right? The ceiling is still remain to be seen because he hasn't played that much. But that Tyson Bagent is going to be able to come in. He's going to be a game manager. He's going to have some problems with accuracy at times. And, that's not something unique to him on this roster. And those things overall are going to be good. Getting a guy like Tyson Bagent locked in, it's just business, and it's good business to do that at the level that the Bears have been able to do it. Now, let's flip that and talk about the Chicago Bears and the injuries that we have here, because it's really starting to get to a point where it's starting to stack up. We know that Terrell Smith is now out for the season. Deion Hankins as well was placed on injured reserve as well with a quad and shoulder injury, right? But then you look at the other players. Austin Booker, out, right? Did not play when it came. He was in the media room in attendance there, but he did not play in practice. Dominique Robinson out. Travis Homer out. Roshan Johnson out. Kyle Monangai out. Case Keenum out. Devin Duvernay out. Josh Blackwell out. Amin, the linebacker there, out. Doug Kramer out. This is starting to stack up and get to a place where It's just the number of injuries are starting to get a little bit overwhelming. But again, because the Bears, after the preseason game on Friday, they have basically 2 weeks until they take the field for the first regular season game. It opens up some time and opportunity for them. But and the fact that there have been no updates provided in regards to those guys really yet is still a little bit questionable. Now, for what it's worth, Austin Booker, Dominique Robinson, and the men who were injured during Sunday's game, reportedly they did some things kind of there, but not there. Kyler Gordon did come back. Zay Frazier also was seen as well. So, you have those guys, but it's a concern. Javon Dexter left practice with a leg injury. He came back, though. Apparently, he was walking it off, so that's good. Tremaine Edmonds also left practice early. So there you go there. The Bears' injuries are starting to stack up. Now, this is football. I've seen people say things like, oh, my God, how soft are these players? They're going down. Look around the NFL. This is football. You got 200 to 250-pound men running into each other at 5 to 8 miles per hour. People are going to get hurt sometimes. Now, Terrell Smith is the only injury on. Deion Hankins is the only major injury. The other guys, as far as we know right now, are hurt, not necessarily injured. And so, you have that thought process. But the Bears, who wanted to start off this season, as every team does, as fully healthy as possible, that's starting to look more and more unlikely and more difficult when it comes to it. And so, hearing that the Bears starters are going to be playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, good, great. You want to see your guys out there, but there's still tons of questions as far as what does that now look like, right? And what's the risk for injury? Because listen, the injuries are stacking up, and you want to try to avoid that as much as can, but you can only avoid it so much. So, right? So you can only do so much to avoid injuries, but got to be out there. They can happen to any play, any given down. And so the injuries are really getting to a place of more concern for the Bears. But hopefully, for all we know, with no updates, after the Bears preseason game, sometime out midweek next week, we can hear that these guys are back out there practicing, which could be a really good thing. And hopefully we have that going for us, and we'll see what ultimately comes of that one. Now, I want to get to that. We've been a lot of positive on this episode so far, but let's get into it. Bleacher Report had a thing as far as best shots to go from worst to first. And this is what they said about the Chicago Bears. They said this: why they can. Sophomore number 1 overall pick Caleb Williams should be expected to make progress, especially with a totally revamped offensive line and the tutelage of new head coach Ben Johnson. On paper, the Bears have the ingredients in terms of talent and experience to win the division. Now, why they can't go from worst to first. They're in the wrong division, as the Lions may be the most talented team in the NFL, while the Packers and Vikings are also prime contenders coming off double-digit campaigns. Prediction: a 5-win team from 2024 improves significantly, but also experiences some transitional bumps and again finishes last in the mighty NFC North. Now, all right, the Bears finishing last in the NFC North. Now, it depends on how you look at this. And I'm going to take this in fairness, right? You got to keep in mind, it's going to take almost, based off last year, if that's what we're basing it off of, last year's results, you're talking about you need at minimum 13 wins to even talk about being at the top of the NFC North, right? So that's one thing that you're looking at here as well. So last season, example, the NFC North, the Detroit Lions had 15 wins, right? The Green Bay Packers, who were third in the division, had 11 wins. So them saying that the Bears could finish last in the NFC North, I want to put that into perspective. The Bears can finish last in the NFC North and still be a wild card team. If the Bears could, if last year, if it works out the way it did last year, which it may not be, but if you look at it last year, the Bears could get 10 wins and still be last in the division. Could be. Right now, every season has its own hurdles, but the NFC North is still one of the deepest divisions in football. So putting that into perspective, okay, right? So I just wanted to do that. But I think when you look at it and when you just bring it all down, is that it says more about the strength of the NFC North and less, I think, about the doubt overall of the Chicago Bears per se. Now, there is some doubt there, make no mistake about it. And let's look at it. Last year, it took 11 wins to be a wild card team. So we could be talking about a team like the Seattle Seahawks won 10 games last year. They were 10-7 and did not make it to the playoffs. So that's what you could be talking about, again, in the NFC, right? You flip that and look at the AFC, for example, as well. It was 10 wins and a 9-win team, which is still a winning record, and the Cincinnati Bengals did not make the wild card. So that's just what it is in the NFL. You're talking about in modern NFL, you need 10 wins to just be a wild card team. And you take that a little bit further, in the NFC North specifically, you can get 10 wins. Hell, you get 11 wins and not even be one of the top 2 teams in the division. That's what it means. Now, I know everybody should take this. Every Bears fan, the Bears players should take this as a challenge, right? Go out there and show what you can do. I'm not mad at Bleacher Report down in the Chicago Bears. Hey, I'm not mad at anybody for down the Bears because until you prove it in the regular season, all it is potential. And as we know, potential doesn't mean jack shit sometimes in the NFL. Potential doesn't get you nowhere. So how you take that potential, what do you build off with that potential? How do you realize that potential? That's one of the things that we got to see. And we'll see what ultimately happens when it comes down to that. So, but with that said, the Bears eventually we're going to start seeing cuts real soon. It's about to start getting real for these cuts real soon. And the Bears are going to have to make the cuts to get to their 53-man roster. And one of the people that are definitely on the roster bubble is Tyler Scott. Now, that may sound crazy because Tyler Scott had a great game in the last preseason game, but let's not act like we haven't seen preseason darlings get cut before. He's in a deep position. Romo Dunze, DJ Moore, Luther Burden, Olamide Zacchaeus. Those are four guys right there all ahead of him. And so now we got to see what's going to happen. Now, Tyler Scott did show more in that last preseason game than we've ever seen from Tyler Scott. And, likely they're going to want to keep that wide receiver room deep. But then when you factor in the fact that Colston Loveland can line up as a slot receiver sometimes, they're going to do that sometimes. You still got Cole Kmet as well, who's going to be receiving passes. It's going to be interesting to see. Now, Devin Duvernay is going to be the key thing here because if they keep Devin Duvernay because of what he brings on special teams and also J.P. Richardson, who, is hurt right now, but did have a good preseason as well, you could very well see Tyler Scott amongst the players that do get cut by the Chicago Bears as well. And as much as we heard from Zach Pickens looking good also as a third-round pick in 2023, now since the preseason started, we haven't really seen a lot of it. So I think when you look at it, Tyler Scott and Zach Pickens are two guys that are on that roster bubble that over the next coming days to hear how they're going to be cut, that's going to be the question here because these guys both have big chances to be cut. Now, the thing in their favor is that we know Ryan Poles likes to hold on to guys that he drafted. So that's going to give them an opportunity to stay on this team. But we're going to see how that all shakes out. But let me know what you guys think on that down below. All right, let's get into the voicemails. We got two that I want to get into today. This one's for Milton.
Yo, Chicago Bears Central, them Cognac boys. It's Milton the Dark Knight coming from Virginia Beach once again. Hey, man, whoa, I'm getting impressed. I'm getting more and more excited about this team by the day, especially after last night's drubbing of the Buffalo Bills, man. They are putting on a show. Both sides of the ball showed up offensively, defensively, special teams. I was very impressed with this team. But, woo, man. If this is still a microcosm of things to come, I'm all for it, man. But, my prayers go out to Terrell Smith and Austin Booker. They both they went down with injuries and everything. I think Terrell Smith, the way he came out, oh my goodness, man. That does look like it could be a season-ending injury. My prayers up to him and everybody else that got injured on our team. But the one player I say that we need to definitely keep our eye out on is Ian Wheeler during this preseason. That dude's playing with a chip on his shoulder, like he got something he got to prove. I know since he tore his ACL and everything. Watch out for him. And I think the last name is Piccens on offense, the wide receiver. He's out there balling too. I would say keep an eye out on these two. Man, they came to play, and they came to play with a vengeance last night. My props out to them. But Chicago Bears football is finally back after how many years, man? I can only expect good things with this team. The one word that I can think of with the Chicago Bears, alignment. Everything is in alignment. This coaching staff, the players, everything's coming together. Like everybody says, it's only preseason, but I'll take any excitement, any good news I can get out of this team at this point because we've been so long in the basement for so long. We need some good news right about now. But I'm definitely loving what I'm seeing, not only from the players, but this coaching staff as a general. The culture has changed. You can feel it and see it on the field. So all we can pray for is the hope that it translates over into the regular season, to playoffs, and so forth, so on. And this team is crawling before they walk. So keep it up, Chicago Bears. Keep it up. But anyway, let me head up to my postal route, delivering smiles and packages all day long. As always, Chicago up, Bear down. I'll holler at you on the next one. I'm out.
Keep an eye on Ian Wheeler. You are absolutely right. Like Ian Wheeler, especially now with the injuries that are around there, as well as Burton Brown, are going to have a really big opportunity to solidify their chances to make the final 53 in the last preseason game. Those are one of the guys to really look out for. And Ian Wheeler, I think he's going to have a pretty good performance. He's going to get there, right? But the thing that I want to pick up most in your voicemail, the alignment part of that, alignment from your roster to your coach, meaning that you have a roster that it still needs some rounding out. Like, to make no doubt about it, we still need tweaks that are going to happen over the coming years. But you have a roster that really fits what the coaching staff is asking them to do. The alignment between the coaching staff, the head coach, and the front office. Those things seem to be, we have more alignment in those things than we've ever had before, or in recent memory have had. And so that's a good sign for this Bears team to build off on going into the season. We're going to see how that comes together. But the alignment part of that is probably the best part of your voicemail for me, is that it really feels like we're getting to the place of having that alignment. How can we build off of that? That's the question that we have to ask there. And that's the question that can only be answered in the regular season by the Bears. So let's see what they do. All right, let's get into the last voicemail for today, man. This one's from Ant.
What up, Hayes, Bobby, C-Dub, Cav, and you can't forget C-Roll. What up, y'all? It's Ant, the big homie, calling in. Congrats on the big 20K. 20K, yeah. Congrats on that, though. Y'all deserve it. Y'all work hard. One of the hardest working men in the industry. All y'all, congratulations. Tip my cap. But I'm calling because I'm rewatching this Bears game, and one thing that blatantly stands out, we have a system. I can't remember the last time, maybe Lovie Smith in the cover 2, that we can plug and play. We have a legit system. And to comparison, it's a different genre, a different sport, but it kind of reminds me of the Spurs. How the Spurs had a system. The Bulls had the triangle offense. We have a system on offense and defense, and it's scary. And Ben Johnson is the type of player, my bad, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Ben Johnson is the type of coach. I don't think he needs a name. I don't think he needs a huge name to be successful as far as players. I literally think the system that he implements is an insert guy here. That's how well I think this man's football mind is. And Dennis Allen, yeah, he has a physical type. But that's another guy I feel that doesn't need the bright light type of player. I feel the system is going to make the players look even better than what they are. And that's a breath of fresh air coming from the type of coaches we had. It's just ridiculous. But that's one thing I noticed. And number 2, it's nice to see a pocket. It's nice to see Caleb got the ball out of his hands. Bagent got the ball out of his hands. Third string quarterback got the ball out of his hands. And it was some breakdown on the line, but it wasn't nothing severe like last year. These guys actually had time to process their read and hit the check down. Last year, we didn't even have time to look at read number 1. So it's refreshing that the line is coming together as quickly as it is, even though, it's vanilla defense, preseason. But still, though, you can kind of see some cohesiveness. You see them talking. You see them pointing at stuff. You just see stuff in words. And I'm super excited about that. And last, before I get up off of here, I would like to mention.
Thank you for that. Hitting on 20K, great accomplishment, but we're not done. We're not done yet. So we got to keep it pushing. We got to keep refining. We're going to keep getting better as well as a show, and we'll see what happens there. But for what it's worth, yeah, the Bears have a system, and they have a system on the both sides of the ball, and it feels like they have not only just a system, they have an expectation. And they have coaches that are setting that expectation and setting clear goals, and we got to see. Now, I will say this. Let's hold off on the Spurs comparisons until we have regular season success. We got to get to the point of having success. But for what it's worth right now, we have players that are going to thrive in the structure that the coaches have built, and I think that's a really good thing. And we're going to have to see how this develops over time. Now, you said that, Ben Johnson may be one of those coaches that doesn't need the big names. And I think that's true. You still need talent, but you may not, or maybe you're the one that creates the big names, right? And the Bears could go back to being that. And so, having Dennis Allen, Ben Johnson, Declan Doyle, right? Al Harris, all these guys that we have here are guys that I really feel good. Antoine Randall being here in the building. So, and let's see what we can build. Let's see what we can develop as a team and hopefully as a franchise for the first time in a while, and that we can actually get to a place of being consistently good, not consistently bad. But that's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following us at Chi Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. I love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.